Hello everybody, welcome you all at Learning is Fun with Prajnaparamita. Today I am going to tell you about English sentences. And today I am going to tell you about simple sentence, complex sentence and compound sentence. Because in your daily occasions, you have to write several things. Sometimes you have to write paragraph, letter and anything, any essays like this. So in any kind of writing, you have to write several English sentences, and you have to know that how you can able to write a correct and grammatically correct English sentence which contain a proper meaning. So in this video lesson, I am going to tell you how you can recognize these sentences, these simple sentence and complex sentence and compound sentence, and what is the feature and what are the differences between these sentences as well. So stay with me till the end to know all these things more clearly as ever. First, when we are talking about English sentence categories, we find there are two basic subcategories of sentences, because sentence sometime served or sentence sometime we used at part the function they serve. Sometimes we say we just wants to know some information. For example, what is your name? Or I am this, I like coffee, I like tea, these type of sentences. So the thing is that when we are talking about sentence category, we can subcategorize sentence according to function and according to structure. The functional division of a sentence is that we can divide English sentence into 4 subcategories regarding their function, that is assertive, interrogative, imperative and exclamatory. I have a video lesson regarding the functional categories of sentences. I will provide the link in the description box below. You may watch that video lesson to know in detail about these sentence categories. So now I am going to tell you about the structural categories. That is, when we are considered the structure of our English sentence, we find there is a subject, verb, object, complement, and there is function, clause, phrase, etc. So regarding or depending on this structure, depending on this clause structure, phrase structure, etc., and subject, verb, we can find 3 basic structural categories of English sentences, that is simple sentence, complex sentence and compound sentence. Now, what is the basic part of a sentence then? We can divide any type of sentences into 2 basic parts, that is the subject part and a predicate part. If we are writing any kind of sentences, we have to keep in mind we have to put a subject and a predicate part. And the predicate part consists of verb, object, sometimes complement, sometimes adverbial, etc. So here there is the examples for you. If you take this sentence, Julie buys her vegetable in the market, you find Julie as a subject part and buys her vegetable in the market. This is a predicate part. Similarly, the train arrived late today. Here also you find the train is subject, where arrived late today is the predicate part. And tigers are carnivorous. Here also you find the tiger as a subject or tigers as a subject, and are carnivorous are the predicate part. I have lots of video lesson regarding subject, predicate and object, complement, etc. If you want to know more about these things, about the subject, predicate, etc., you can watch that video lesson as well, and I will provide the link in the description box below. Now, Now, why I am talking about these things, why the basic important are important for a sentence, why I am talking about these two categories or two parts of structural part of a sentence. Now I am going to tell you, because when we are considered a simple sentence, that is, a simple sentence have a very simple structure also, because if you divide a simple sentence, you find two basic parts. What is that? One is subject part and other one is predicate part. Along with that, there is only one finite verb, that is the verb which can change according to the subject and tense. For example, if I say I go there, but I also mention while I am talking about he goes there. But I never say he go there. It is not grammatically correct, because go is a finite verb and this verb can changes according to the subject. Similarly, when it is present tense, we say I go, but when it is past tense, we say I went. So this is the thing. And if you know more about finite verb and English verb, I have also video lesson. You can watch that video lesson. I will provide the link in the description box again. So here, if we consider a simple sentence, that is dogs bark. This is a simple sentence where you find one subject part and predicate part consists of only verb, only finite verb. That is the dogs, this is subject, and bark is predicate part. There you find bark is a verb. Similarly, if we consider the earth moves around the sun, here also you find the earth is a subject and moves around the sun is a predicate part, and here the predicate part consists of verb, that is moves, and round the sun it is an object part also. Here the country became totally independent. Here also, if you divide this sentence structurally, you find one subject part, that is the country, and the predicate part consists of verb and complement, that is become totally independent. So this is the structure of a simple sentence. While we are talking about simple sentence, this is very easy to recognize. You just look whether there is a single independent clause, whether there is only one finite verb, that verb can changes according to the subject and tense. Now, this is the possible structure for a simple sentence clause or independent clause. In a simple sentence, you must find these things. Subject, you definitely find a subject in a simple sentence, verb, object, complement, and adverbials. And you find object, maybe a direct object or indirect object. Complement, that is related to subject or object complement, or adverbial, that is related to subject related adverbial or object related adverbial. So when you are going to write a simple sentence, you just follow this structure. Very basic and simple structure consists of subject and verb, that is he was laughing. And here you have to arrange subject, verb, and object. This is another structure for a simple sentence. He will get a surprise. Subject, verb, and adverbial. He got through the window. Subject, verb, and complement. He is getting angry. Subject, verb, and objects, that is direct and indirect objects. He got her a splendid present. Subject, verb, and object and complement. Here he got his shoes and socks wet. And another structure is that subject, verb, object, and adverbial. He got himself into trouble. Here, when you are going to write any kind of simple sentence, you just arrange subject, verb and this element in the following order. If you just learn or memorize these type of order, that is, you have to put subject first, then verb, then object or complement, etc., you can able to write a very good or grammatically correct simple sentence. Now I am going to tell you about the complex sentence. So what is a complex sentence? As we have already know that clauses are the basic element of a sentence, and in a simple sentence we find one independent clause, and I have a video lesson regarding clause also. If you watch that video lesson, you can understand more about clauses. So I will provide the link in the description box below. You must watch that video lessons as well. So here, in a complex sentence, you find one principal clause and one or more subordinate clauses are there. And here, if you consider this example, I have a friend who lives in Mumbai. Here you find I have a friend is a principal clause or main clause who lives in Mumbai. This is a subordinate clause. Here, this is very important to know that when we are talking about complex sentence, it is very easy to recognize a complex sentence, because in a complex sentence you find one independent clause and one subordinate clause, and individually, if we consider these clauses individually, they do not have any proper meaning or complete sense. For example, if I say I have a friend, then you ask me what? Then what? Then I have to put more information about my friend, because when we are talking about complex sentence, both the clauses are important to complete their meaning. Another example for you, I know the man who comes from Goa. Here also, if I say I know the man, then you ask what? You must ask, I know the man. So I have to just add more information, that who comes from Goa, etc., or who lives in Mumbai, like this. So in a complex sentence, we find one main clause and one dependent clause or subordinate clause that depends on main clause or principal clause, and they together form a meaning. But if we consider them individually, they do not have a proper meaning, or they do not figure out any proper sense. Now here I have given more examples where you find that if we consider a big sentence, that is, the room has a large window which faces south. If we take this sentence, what do we find here? We find one main clause, that is, the room has a large window, and here you find a noun phrase, verb phrase and noun phrase, etc., because I put that thing here to let you know that what is a relative clause, because when we are talking about subordinate clause may be divided into 3 or 4 subcategories, that is noun clause, relative clause or adjective clause, adverbial clause and comparative clause. So here this is a relative clause or adjective clause that modify or qualify the noun phrase, that is which faces south. You find this noun phrase, a large window, which faces south. This relative clause is directly has a relation with this noun phrase. So this is an example of complex sentence where you find two clauses are there. One is main clause and other one is dependent or a subordinate clause. Now, more example for complex sentence where also I put a structure there to let you know all about these things. The weather has been remarkably warm since we returned from Italy last week. Here you find one main clause, that is the weather has been remarkably warm, and another one is adverbial clause since we returned from Italy last week. If we consider these part of sentence, these adverbial clause alone, since we returned from Italy, this sentence has no meaning unless I add more information that the weather has been remarkably warm. Now, I am going to tell you about compound sentence. So, in a simple sentence, complex sentence, it is easy for you to understand. Now, compound sentence is more easy to recognize because in a compound sentence, you find two or more individual clause or main clause that joined with linking words like and, but, etc. or etc. So, here at the example for you, Sunny wrote a letter but he got no reply. If we consider this sentence, for example, you find Sunny wrote a letter. This is a main clause, but is a linking word that joins another main clause. He got no reply. And another important and interesting thing is that when we are talking about compound sentence, we see that these main clauses have their individual meaning. If I say Sunny wrote a letter, this is grammatically correct sentence. He got no reply. This is also a grammatically correct sentence. That these two grammatically correct sentence joined with a linking word but, and this is an example of compound sentence. Another example for you, he is intelligent and he is hardworking. These two main clauses, that is he is intelligent and he is hardworking, these two main clauses has their own meaning. They don't depend together. We just put them together with a linking word and. Now, this is another example and diagram for you that can help you to know more, to understand it more clearly. Here, she fell ill and she left the place. Here you find she felt ill. This is a separate main clause, and she left the place. This is another main clause. We joined with a linking word and. John plays guitar, but his sister plays piano. Here also you find two main clauses are joined with the linking word but. I admire her reasoning, but I reject her conclusion. Here also you find two main clauses, that is I admire her reasoning, where you find subject, verb, object, and there is a linking word or coordinating conjunction but that joins another main clause where you find a subject, verb and object as well, that is I reject her conclusions. Now, let's see the differences between these sentences. What is the differences? So, when we are talking about simple sentence, we find one individual and one independent clause. That is, this is a clause that depends on the nowhere. So, one independent clause is there, and that independent clause can be divided and must be divided into two parts, that is subject part and the predicate part. But when we are talking about complex sentence, we find one main clause or principal clause and other one is subordinate clause. Sometimes there is more than one subordinate clause will be there, but in a compound sentence we find two or more than two main clauses are there that joins with the linking word like and, but, or, etc. And here, another difference is that when we are talking about simple sentence, in a simple sentence, as we have told you, the independent clauses are used, and there that independent clause has a meaning. But in a complex sentence, always we find a subordinate clause, one or more than one subordinate clause. And in a compound sentence, we find independent clause that have meaning but they joined with a linking words. So in a simple sentence, we do not find any linking word joins two main clause. There no linking words are used there to join two main clauses or two finite verb. You can rather say that you do not joins two finite verbs in a simple sentence, because simple sentence contains only one finite verb. But in a subordinate or complex sentence, we find one subordinate clause and subordinating conjunctions are used there. And for compound sentence, we find coordinating conjunctions and coordinated clause are used in the compound sentence. I have video lesson about clauses also. You can watch that video lesson to know about English clause. So, hope you like this video lesson. If you have any queries, please do comment in the comment section. I definitely reply them. And no more today. Thank you for listening and bye bye.